I'm outreach, right? I go out in the community, and so you don't get that personal phone call. Or it's press 1 for this, and press 2 for this, and press 3 for this. And so it's really frustrating, and you guys are all in gerontology, and so for the person who's elderly, I mean, in your lifetime, it was somebody picked up the phone and answered, and then helped direct your call. Now it's so much more automated, and we all speak so quickly. And so sometimes, even myself, I pick up the phone and I'm listening to this person, and you're like, who did I just call? No clue. Or you can't even hear the message that you're supposed to leave and on their answering machine. So the Alzheimer's Society as a whole, from Alzheimer's of Canada, we developed what's called the First Link program. And there's lots of brochures on the table over there. You're welcome to take as much as whatever you want. I really don't want to cart it back to my cart, so help yourself. And so it does describe the First Link program. And what it is we don't put the onus of the person to call us. So in the past it was, here, call these people, they're going to be helpful. What we do now is we fill out, it looks like a prescription form. We've just changed it currently, but it's like a prescription form. Basically it's, this person needs help and this is why they need help. We fax, the healthcare provider faxes this directly to us with consent from the person, and we make that first call. We have to make it within 48 hours. So sometimes I'm calling people, you know, they may have just returned, because sometimes they fax them really quick, they return them quite quickly, and I'm calling somebody the moment they've had the diagnosis and they've arrived home and they're sitting there in their living room going, oh my gosh, what do we do now? And here's a friendly person calling them right away, saying, I just got your name and number, and we're here to help. Sometimes they want information right away, sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's 3 months later, sometimes it's a year later, sometimes it's 2 years later when the disease has, you know, changed from one stage to the next. Sometimes they only call during a crisis, or we are checking back with them and they're like, oh, lost your number, thank God you phoned, you know, and yes, this is what's happening right now. So this has been a tremendous help that avoids what we did with Bill in the past, which is throw brochures and say, here, you call us when you need us. Most people, and it's probably true for all of us, we don't call when we need, unless it's, you know, major crisis. So it's great that this program is in place. Yeah, sorry.
Is there a waiting list for your program or no?
Not really. The only wait time is the fact that there's not enough of us. So when this program first started 2 years ago, I literally get the fax out of the machine and I'm making those calls. Now, unfortunately, I can't do it. We're mandated to do it within 48 hours. We get 70 of these a month. And there's 9 of us, but that's not enough. We just can't keep up. And it's incredible.
I just want to be clear about like from whom you are getting this form.
So we get it from any healthcare provider. It used to be just doctors, so a person arrives at the doctor's office and they make a diagnosis. I only brought one, sorry. You can pass that around. They get, you know, the doctor makes the diagnosis, and instead of throwing the brochure, they say, can I have your consent to send this to the Alzheimer's Society, and an outreach counselor will give you a call. Is that okay? Most people say yes, and they fax that to us, and we make that call. So most agencies don't have something like that. It's really throw a brochure at you and hope for the best at some point. Like I said, we are, this program has completely gone crazy. We have a girl that markets the program to, it used to be just doctors, now she's marketed to people like the police, paramedics, the fire department, banks, the transit system, because what happens? The elderly, they don't drive, they jump on a bus, can't find their way home. The bus driver notices perhaps that people are not getting off, or they're staying on the bus, or they're standing at the bus stop. So people in the community are being much more observant and are aware of the program. They don't have the actual form. They sometimes will call and say, you know, do you have that form, or do you have a program? I've noticed somebody in the apartment building who might need help. In Peel senior buildings, they can make referrals now. Physiotherapists, anybody really. If you guys know somebody on the street, you know, please give us a call. You have to have consent of a person. that was one thing that we've changed since Bill's been in with us. I can't remember what else I was going to say, but it will come to me.
From a caregiver's perspective, I was going to share some thoughts on why caregivers become patients, burn out. I'll skip through this. Studying Hans Selye's work 60 years ago, and it hasn't changed. He was a doctor who believed that stress is a normal thing, and the problem is distress and then depression. And whether or not you will be dealing with that in your careers, I don't know. But after working in industry as long as I did, studying jobs, studying departments with attitude surveys and morale studies and things, it became apparent to me that wherever there was stress within an employee group, it could be blamed on one or more of these 4 factors. Frequent job changes, unreal job expectations, no limit to the job workload, and uncertain job future. And when I looked at it, I said, that's a typical caregiver's job. You don't know what to expect day to day. The job's changing. Unreal expectations. I never bathed a lady before. I never helped anyone go to the bathroom. Job workload, it increased month to month. And then uncertain job future. No cure. This person's going to die ultimately because there just isn't any treatment for them. If that isn't a typical caregiver's job, I don't know what is. So caregivers have to be careful when that oxygen mask drops, that they take it, as Christine has said. Because if you can't care for yourself, you can't care for anyone else. So depression's the end result, you have to be careful of it. Well, I won't pursue anything more on that one. And just a few comments on the next one. We wonder why it's difficult at times dealing with patients. My wife used to walk, like walking, and occasionally she'd say, I want to go for a walk now, and I'd like to go to the Shirley Gardens and walk the center. I'd say, but it's 12:30 in the morning. It's going to be 1 o'clock soon. There's no one over there. The doors are all locked. No, I want to go for a walk. And that was it. So we'd get dressed, drive over to the center, nobody in the parking lot except us. I'm scared to death. Somebody's going to come around and see us. So anyway, we get out of the car, go to the door, and we find them locked. And I say, well, I guess there's no one here now. She'd say, oh, you're right, because there isn't anyone here now. So then we'd go home, and that would be it. Sometimes you have to give in, and that's a little bit stressful. But she was quite passive most of the time, but there were things that did happen. She always had a sense of humor. On one occasion, she was having sitting on a chair in a shower bath, and I went to move the strap from her brassiere. She said, wait a minute, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm just going to help you get a good bath. No, she said, those are both mine, and they're retired. So I didn't pursue that any further. What does the patient lose? Why do they feel the way? Why do they act that way? Well, it's because they have a problem, a disease of the brain, and the communication links aren't there. But consider for a moment what they lose. Their memory to start with. Can't even remember the names of the family. She used to say to me, where's my real husband? Who are you? Memory loss, independence. How'd you like to have someone give you a bath or help you go to the bathroom? Their independence, her identity, communication skills. Couldn't get the right words at times just to say what she wanted to say. Financial controls. Used to look after her bank accounts and her savings and gave me a sense of independence, a pride, future plans. I guess we're not going to make any more trips anywhere. Can't go to Nova Scotia next year. I won't be able to see the grandkids arrive, or go to school, or graduate, or even get married and have grandchildren. Gone. Tough, eh? Consider the patient's point of view. Sure, it's stressful for the caregiver, but at the same time, it's also pretty tough on the patient. Well, I guess, perhaps, show me these fancy slides, the next one, Chris. Yeah, helps you understand perhaps a little bit of confusion, frustration, resistance, and anger on the part of the patient. And what's the next one? Patients don't need a caregiver with a brilliant mind to correct and discipline. And the next one, they need a caregiver with a special heart, an abundance of energy, and the ability to listen and treat with kindness. I won't forget a lifelong friend that Barbara had. She had nursed her through 2 major surgeries, and they used to get together and play Scrabble, even in the 5th, 6th year of her illness. One day, and I used to tell this lady what was happening, and she never accepted the fact that Barbara had Alzheimer's disease. And she tried to help her by correcting her. Time and time again, I'd say, look, don't correct her, because that hurts her feelings. And one day, I thought, she's getting ready, I'm going to get her ready. She's going upstairs to play Scrabble with this lady. She said, no, I'm not going anymore. I said, what do you mean you're not going? No, I'm not going anymore. She corrects me. Sometimes I put down words, she corrects my spelling. I add up the score. She probably put 10 or 20 points in for herself when she added them up. She said, she tells me that's wrong. So I'm not going up there anymore. Did it really matter that she spelled the word wrong? Or didn't add up the score right? What a tragic way to lose a lifetime friendship. She never went again. So you have to be careful. All right. I've talked enough. I was gonna, do you want me to finish off?
Sure.
Well, what were some of the challenges? And I won't go into these. Acceptance of the fact that we had this. Here's a girl that worked all her life, helped other people, mostly on a volunteer basis. Why did we do this? Well, we got it. That's life. Life is tough. Life isn't always fair. Managing time. I prided myself in business that, oh boy, I started the meeting on time, I finished the meeting on time, each item on the agenda had a time limit, and that was it. When I got to this, I couldn't manage time. I couldn't manage day to day really that well. I remember one time was keeping track of incontinence. When do you have to go to the bathroom next? Well, we're standing in line at the grocery store, and I said, I'll be so happy to get you home because I know you have to go to the bathroom soon. She said, oh, you can be right happy right now because I just went about 10 minutes ago. Keeping time, managing time is very difficult. Appointments. Doctor's appointments are tough for caregivers. Imagine dressing a 3-year-old, getting to the door with boots and hats on in the winter time, and all of a sudden they say,